everybody, good evening, and thank you so much for attending this workshop. It's part of our Voices of Inspiration Global Mental Wellbeing Summit 2021. And today we are very privileged to have Dr. Michael Tan, who is going to share about environmental toxicity. It's all about geopathic stress. And Teresa.
Yes, now before we bring Michael onto the TV screen here or the Zoom screen, we'd like to remind all of you that, we had a really great turnout last Sunday on our opening day with 700 plus attendees participating around from 15 plus countries, so in 4 continents. Now, just a reminder, if you guys can download the Bravera app, which is supports our health and wellness challenge, so you guys could engage through that app, and you can also engage with us in our chit chat here. Today we have Dr. Michael Tan. Tuesday we actually had a session with Uji Lala Baxi on our healthy relationship with food and nutrition, which was fantastic. Now don't forget, Sunday, all of you are registered. If you have friends that are still interested in joining us, please do. That will be our closing day. We have a full day of really special sessions and topics planned for you. Again, we have lucky draw prizes adding up to $40,000 US. We encourage you to engage with us through the app and also in the chit chat, and ask lots of questions and participate in order to win prizes. Over to you, Varan.
All right. So now we are very privileged to invite Dr. Michael Tan to start his sharing. Dr. Michael Tan.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this short 1 hour or 1.5 hours of sharing. Well, it is very unusual for me to squeeze all my technical presentation to what we have tonight. It's about 16 slides. So I may face a challenge trying to share, right? However, I'll do my best. And then we will give ourselves more time to interact, which is probably more exciting. The more question it is, the better we get, right? Because then I'll be able to interact and learn from all the questions. So let me put up my sharing screen first, right? Okay, we are looking at beyond 2021. What are we going to face? What kind of road are we going to take? What are the plans that we are going to make in order to stay resilient? And it's something that it is so challenging during this challenging time, because every minute we are faced with an unknown factor. We were quite shocked and surprised to hear that China recently have to start rotating all the manufacturing plant, including electricity, to various cities. And this is something that I've been talking because I'm always researching into biological energy, right? And you just imagine, for the last 50 years of growth, China have outperformed almost every angle. 100 New York that was built within 50 years. They have some of the most beautiful cities with the most beautiful play of light every evening. Every major city, look at the building, is so amazingly lovely. And of course, if you watch the recent National Day, the amount of effort they put in, right? But suddenly, now they have to go into 20% power ration. So you just imagine, not knowing the biological capacity of us as a human being, similar to a country, what is going to happen to us? Eventually, we start to shut down our biological function and efficiency. And that, in simple terms, lead to chronic illnesses. Then, of course, in this period, we also hit with mental challenges, right? So now let's look further. So in order to be sustainable, in order for us to take our journey beyond 2022, we have to have enough plan to understand how the body performs, how the mental react to society and unknown pressure. We have to stay resilient. And how do we do that? So I have came out with something that was far too technical in the past, with now only 3 words or 3 letters. Of course, It's called PCF. What does PCF stand for? Power. Everything needs power. The moment we switch off the power plant, tonight we probably cannot attend this Zoom because nothing is going to work. Now we switch off the power plant, all manufacturing line is going to stop. And of course, if we switch off the power energy to the human body, the brain, which is like a CPU, and the processor is not going to work at all. So likewise, the hardware will stop functioning, which our organ, our liver, our heart, our eye, nothing is going to work, right? However, the moment power is restored, without a hardware, without the organ, the body is going nowhere, right? Now, even you are the fittest person, without intelligence, without control, you are going nowhere because you are just like a car, a robot. After starting, is waiting for instruction. So all these three have to come together to perform, to create an optimum performance so that each and every one of us can experience our own journey to the fullest, right? So power, right? So we can see in the background is the power cable and a prosperous city. These two things come hand in hand. So to have a prosperous body, which is equated to a healthy and well body, we need optimum power supply, which in TCM is known as your chi. In Indian or Hindu or Ayurveda is known as your prana. In electrical engineering is known as your voltage. In general term, it is energy or power, or Einstein used to say E equal to mc squared, right? Now, our body comprised of approximately 70 trillion cells. Means that we got 70 trillion battery that will keep us running for 80 years minimum. However, you need to nourish, means you need to keep fueling the cell. You need to keep charging the cell. So just like a car, you can have the best petrol, best engine oil, battery is flat, electrical system is flat, you cannot start up the car and it's going nowhere. However, you have the best battery, just buy a brand new battery, but you just run out of petrol. The function cannot fire up, right? So power is so critical, which we shall explore a little bit deeper later, where the source of power is being generated from, right? So next one is called control. Now control, it is the intelligence that we are born with and the knowledge that we have accumulated in the course of education, working, tradition, culture, society, that give us the intelligence to help us manage the function of the organ and yet also to complete our own individual journey. So like your mobile phone, your computer, even with COVID, we keep upgrading our digital skill, our interaction skill, our health management knowledge, like what this summit is all about, right? But as human beings, when was the last time we truly attend a conference, a workshop like this to constantly update our intelligence? So we need V1, V2, V3, just like any software, constant update. And if we do not update, we may end up with a wrong software trying to manage going forward into the future, right? So once your intelligence is stable and with the latest knowledge, software, interaction skill, and your power supply, your life force is optimum, then your biological function, your lung, your liver, your heart, your brain, your circulatory system, your detox system, just like what you see here, you know, from the airport, yeah, to the power plant, to the petrol station, to the petrochemical, yeah, to the shipping, to the logistic, everything can function efficiently. Any of these three functions that is out of synchronization is the beginning of all challenges that we face, right? So today we are going to focus, beside the air we breathe, the light that we are working, especially now I'm indoor, we are all indoor and it's at about 7+. So most of us may be already tuned back to white light to achieve a certain color rendition in this Zoom, but by right, we also be working on yellow light, which is 3000 Kelvin, right? That's a separate subject. Then of course, the water we drink, and we can go without food, but we cannot go without air and water, right? Then of course, today, what makes us possible is the electromagnetic field, so that we are able to do wireless technology, we are able to do Zoom across the whole globe, right? But the last thing that's going to prevent us from working efficiently is the geomagnetic field. Now, if you have been observing this year, we have almost monthly earthquake, monthly typhoon, which was quite recently, I think in Hong Kong, even on the day of the actual official opening of conference, I think the earlier day or evening, there was about number 3 typhoon, right? And each time if you see a typhoon, earthquake, a flood, all you need to do is to just go to Google and type in Schumann live graph or Schumann resonance. Immediately, a graph will come out and show you a day before the typhoon, the flood, or whatever, you will see an extremely hot spot or spike. And this spike is happening right at Mother Earth core, which is the heartbeat, which is known as Schumann frequency, discovered in 1953. So when this frequency is spiked, this is the beginning of what we call the entire biological system, the brain, the alpha frequency, and the earth actually are intervened and work on the same level, right? And this frequency is none other than Schumann resonance frequency 7.83 Hertz. And when this frequency gets distorted, our main biological function that will be affected will be your pineal gland, which produce your sleep hormone melatonin, and of course come with and many other hormones that Ron usually will share with you, the dopamine, the serotonin, and others, right? But in my study, I'm more concerned, beside the melatonin, is the power, right? Now, when this frequency gets distorted, every night you are going to sleep 8 hours similar to your cell phone, and your bed is your charging plate. You don't get charged. But interestingly, is we are built to last 80 to 100 years. So even 10 years you don't get charged, you will still survive, because there are so many other forms of charging, from your fitness, from your running, from your walking, from your daily activity. You are constantly regulating your biofield, right? So when this frequency gets distorted, we literally get disrupted. And we have to use our own innate biological field and power to regulate. So as a result, imagine we are all born with $1, and until 1843, we are based on the law of natural field, because electricity was not discovered. However, after 1844, electricity was discovered, leading to today artificial intelligence. And all these interactions are electrical or electromagnetic based. So now our body may have to spend 40 cents to regulate what is an unknown or an outside field. So leaving us only 60 cents to strengthen the biological function. So remember, if this field is unregulated, and every night we do not sleep in a regulated field, first, we don't get charged. Second, we are losing our own innate biocapacity to regulate the external field, right? So this disturbance is known as geopathic stress, means the Earth or Mother Earth is under stress, right? And these are known to the German, to the Swedish, to the British, to the Norwegian. They are all very well versed with this knowledge known as geopathic stress. Of course, in this part of the world, the Chinese may call it feng shui, the Indian may call it vastu science, but they're actually slightly different, because geopathic is geomagnetic, which doesn't relate directly to the law of feng shui and vastu, right? These have only one basic function, is to ensure that everyone staying indoor are regulated based on Mother Earth heartbeat. And when you get unregulated, we loses the stability, and we loses the ability to stay resilient, to withstand all the challenge we're going to face, right? So here you can see, in the same house, you could be living and yet working without you knowing, which you are being confronted with all the wireless technology and of course the wave emitted from Mother Earth. And this technology itself developed by human that disrupt Mother Earth through underground digging, through MLT, to cable line, to pipeline, all change this wave, resulting in the body having to regulate it using our own field. However, when you go into another room of the same design, but with a regulated or with modulation, you reduce the interaction, resulting in natural restoration of your biological capacity because it uses less now to interact with the external parameter, right? So this is the world's largest tuning fork, which is 555 feet, erected in 1847 by the first president, George Washington, right? For those who are into vibrational medicine, for those who are into geometrical biofield, for those who are into construction, deeper level, more advanced level of metaphysics, most of you will probably be aware of how all civilization have found a way to tune up all major capital. So when you visit every single public square, you will always see some form of monument. Now in Singapore, we have several. Of course, the most prominent is our Japanese memorial in the heart of city, just outside Raffles City or Raffles Hotel, right? And then of course, if you go down to Shanghai, you will see the three tower. And then if you go to Guangzhou, and then of course, if you go to KL, beside the exchange, now you have the Menara all coming up, right? And if you observe all major city in the Middle Eastern world, especially Dubai being the center of activity, you see that the Khalifa Tower, everyone would have built something as high. So in order to regulate or to act as a tuning fork, right? So can we not learn from science, from history, how to regulate our home, our working space, and our private space, right? Yeah. So this will come to water memory. For those who are aware, you probably heard of Masaru Emoto, who has spent almost 30 years studying water have a memory. Of course, he started by trying very hard to prove there's no such thing. But in his 20-year study, he have discovered that every water in all sacred areas, including Fountain of Lourdes, Pama in Guangxi, China, and many others, including the Hunza Mountain, all the water have very nice, this snowflake crystal, and they are all standard six-sided, although the configuration can be very different. Right, and every day we are all drinking, and our body comprises of 70% water. And of course, remember, our body is exposed to electromagnetic field 24/7, and another 8 hours when you are lying down, we are interacting with Earth Mother heartbeat. So means from birth to death, we are using our $1 of biocapacity to interact with the field at the same time to keep our biological system functioning. So when this field get distorted, again, we have to spend our own $1 to re-regulate this field. So now let us take a short look at this short video, right?
Funny girl.
So as you know, baby do not know what the dad is talking. I just send vibration.
Can you go? Can you go? Ha ha ha.
So it's a very nice,
Can you go?
subtle, and now it's a very high erratic field. And you see how the baby interact. Yeah. So this is something that as baby, our senses are so natural. But as adult, we already been, I will use the word plug in. You know, all of us carry different configuration, different chip, right? Different framework. So even the lion that could be 50 meters away from us, we cannot smell them today. But when you were prehistoric, you will already smell them 100 meters apart, right? So likewise, a baby have the same senses. So imagine a small little change by the father wave, the baby interact by crying. But we will probably accept it as it's just part of this distortion, which we don't even know it is there. And we are using our own $1 to regulate this. But the baby, no, I'm not interested. I don't want to regulate, so I cry it out so that I prevent the wave from hitting me, right? Okay. Now, this is a short sharing of a recent home that we did in Jurong. Now, this family, as you can see, the lady that I was doing electromeridian testing at the home, after she shift in and the location she's sleeping, within 6 months, she need an ovarian operation. And unfortunately, during the first year of shifting in, the husband also lost the job. And the son near turned purple, and there's no reason, right? Medically, there's nothing wrong with them other than operation. So when we start measuring her, you can see the meridian in the upper picture. Her 12th meridian was chaotic, right? And then after we stabilized, means we protected, regulated the field, her meridian start to stabilize. So since then, their family, the son, purple nail have all been diminished and things are operating and running smoothly for the whole family, right? So you can see that the red line are what we call the Hartmann grid, discovered by German Dr. Hartmann. And then the blue line is known as Curry grid. But what we are more worried and concerned is always the red rectangle where the bed are, right? And the place like the sun sleeping here, and you have 1 yellow line, 2 yellow line, 3 yellow line cutting the head area, and another one near the lower part of the body, right? And then the wife, this particular cut across, right, at the abdomen area, resulting in that she have to go for operation. Now, again, this statement does not stand for absolute, because every home are different. That's why we offered in this workshop at the end of this sharing 10 free audit, right? So all you need to do is to interact, and of course the organizer will do all the arrangement to engage the 10 people that will get the free audit to know whether you're living in a toxic space from Earth electromagnetic field, not from the light, not from your electromagnetic, not from your water, but purely from the geomagnetic. Why it is so important? Because it contributes out of the 5 elements, air, light, water, EMF, and geomagnetic. It takes up 50%. The other 4 take up only 10 or 20% that comprise altogether about 100%, right? So it is important to know your sleeping position, whether are you affected by any of the geomagnetic grids, right? So with this, I have come to a very fast and short presentation so that we can open up for more time for people who may find this a very new subject, or for people who may be already been very experienced, and we love to hear from you to share more. Those who may be from Malaysia may already be well aware of our associate auditor who have been helping a lot of home, including some very big property developer, shopping center, all facing challenge. And of course, those who are based in Singapore would have heard of something very sad. Last year, or not even last year, middle of this year, Singapore famous brand Robinson, after 100 years of operating, decided to close shop. And in the particular building that they shifted to, Marché, the fast food chain from, I think it's Swiss, left that operation in the same building. And then 3 years later, Tower Record HMV went burst in the same building. And another 10 years in the future came Robinson, 7 years operating there, and eventually they also closed shop. Now, this is what we call it as the geomagnetic sick building. It's not the best term, right? So all you need to do is to look around your home, look for tree that is stunted, look for tree that have lump, look for home that have black ants, and not so much of red ant, black ants, especially if your black ant is circulating in the anti-clockwise, then it is really, really challenging. In fact, Veron can share later that we also have a friend who, after installing the wave modulation technology, the ants start attacking her home for about exactly 1 month. Yeah, because it's a different wave that we have installed that is for human, but not for black ant. So the black ant now have to go to the kitchen, look for food before they can migrate. So eventually, exactly 1 month, 2 weeks, even she put food in the kitchen, no more ants because they are all migrated. They didn't like the space at all now, right? Yeah. Yeah. So this is one thing that the first month almost freaked out the owner because she had never seen ant marching into her kitchen from all directions. But these are things that we are very familiar with, right? So with this, we have come to the end of a very fast and short technical challenge that I wish that everybody would open up your mind, your heart, and your experience to ask questions, to share, or even if you have already experienced other form of geomagnetic management, please share with us. Thank you very much.
Michael, thank you very much for your sharing. It was very insightful. And actually, I got to know Michael about 4 years ago. And when I started the Tanglin outlet in the Salvation Army itself, Michael, you want to stop share so that we can spotlight both of us and together with Teresa. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Michael.
what happened?
Go ahead, Veron.
What happened is 4 years ago we met, and then he disappeared. He was always flying all over the place, and I never have a chance to have appointment with him until COVID hit, and he was locked down in Singapore. And February this year, we managed to catch up. And after we catch up, I realized he came out with miracle water of life. He came out with miracle energy of life. He came out with miracle oil of life, and also this geopathic stress. And so February onward, we have been working very closely with Dr. Michael to promote all his products at our Energer outlet at Adelphi. So I started installing this harmonizer. And when Dr. Michael came to my house, came to the office and audit my place, it was definitely toxic because I stayed in my place for more than 30 years. So after he harmonized my place, I realized there's no more ants. Even if I were to throw lychee seed or lychee skin in the rubbish bin, no more ants come to me at all. And my shoes used to get moldy every month, and my shoes never get moldy anymore. So it was so amazing that once you harmonize a house, it harmonizes the environment. Yes. So Dr. Michael, maybe you want to share with us how you started to go into research on geopathic stress.
Oh, okay. So now I have to travel 20 years back. I was with Singapore Power for 24 years. I started off as a junior technician and then worked my way up to become a senior officer. And I was managing, even from a technician perspective, I was managing about 1/3 at that time. Means that in the early 80s, we were working like every day, 12, 15 hours, because every day there's a power failure. Why? Because Singapore is modernizing. So when you're modernizing, contractors start digging and every day they will damage a cable. So every day we face with power failure. But that is still not the most challenging. We also face with what we call people running computer cannot operate smoothly. Why? Because in the old days, in the villages, they were tapping electricity so that they don't have to pay. So imagine we have 1 watt of electricity going to 10 houses, but now we got 20 houses using 1 watt. So everybody got 0.5 watt. So all the equipment cannot work efficiently. And that is a big headache because we do not know how to solve it because we only have 1 watt of energy. So you just imagine if we as human beings all are born with 1 watt, just like good old day telephone or mobile phone, we do not need a battery bank, right? Because there was not much apps in it. But today, imagine all the phone have background apps running. Example, in Singapore, we have the tracing app, and as it's running, it's draining your battery. And if you are searching on Alibaba, it will drain your phone like crazy because they keep sending you, pushing message to you non-stop, and they are tapping into you, looking at you, what you're doing, and then they will find more reseller to send to you. So as a result, without you consciously knowing, you're just draining your battery, like it or not. You have got no control today. Right, so it's just like the good old day when I started. But at 44, I decided to quit the engineering industry in the peak of my career. I just don't find any more meaning at that time in that corporate life. And of course, I left and I went into the darkest moment of my life, right? I plunged right to the darkest abyss. I didn't have a job. I could not find a job. I didn't have money. My daughter was studying in London. I don't even have enough money to pay for her last year's school fees simply because I didn't have a job, and I cannot take a loan because I didn't have a job, right? And one day I attended a workshop. Those days we don't have Zoom, so I physically have to go down, and I volunteered myself to be measured. And to me, it was shocking as a power engineer that my own biological capacity was now to 20% at 45 years old. So immediately it woke me up. He said, if I'm going to even find money for my daughter, I have to make sure I restock my power bank first, my battery, so that I can carry on to work. If not, tomorrow I may just collapse, just like our phone after 1% beep beep, and you pick up, hello Teresa, there's no more battery. Right. But then at that point of time, I was just wondering, how could a power engineer end up with 20% biological battery when I was managing 1/3 of the Singapore grid system those days, right? And then it's the beginning of my next 20 years journey. So I started searching. I went around the world. I traveled about 3.2 times each year around the world, from the coldest to the hottest. We have research center now based in India. We have worked with some of the best some of the best what they call spiritual healer from Mongolia, you know. And again, as I travel widely, everywhere share a same common phenomenon, is that we are looking at solving a problem, but we have never looked at managing a sustainable system, right? So we wait for a problem to occur, then now we start to look for intervention, and we start to ask, why me? Why me? So just like when I was 45, if I did not attend the workshop, I could end up very sick. Then I asked, why me? Yeah, simply because unlike a mobile phone, unlike a bank, unlike your share market, unlike your petrol tank, everything that is a gauge to tell you how much you are left in your bank, how much you are left in your share market, how much is your property valuation, how much is your battery capacity in your phone, or how much petrol is left in your car. As human beings, we didn't have this gauge. So we allow it to drop to the last 1%, then suddenly the liver fail. Suddenly you have dementia. Suddenly you have stroke. But isn't it strange that everything we created, we have an instrumentation, a monitoring system. The last thing we have is only when we're in ICU. Every instrument will come out immediately. But other than that, we never, you know, look after this amazing body that produce everything that we are capable of developing, manufacturing, buying, and owning it. And we give this body third grade. We don't even give it second grade. We really give it third grade. You know, today, one of the biggest challenges I personally face is that in many societies, everybody wants something cheap. And all the manufacturers sell direct through all the internet e-commerce. But then how are the rest of the people going to survive, right? And when you buy something cheap, there's no such thing as cheap or expensive thing. It's whatever you pay is whatever you get, right? So this equation is no more a sustainable equation. It's a profitability, a dog-bite-dog bone situation, right? But then now, through this mental wellness summit, we are looking at sustainable solution. We have to start off by looking at how sustainable we ourselves is going to be, right, for the next 10 years at least. And if we do not know our source of biofuel, biological capacity, there's no way we can last another 10 years. It's going to be very challenging, right? So I spent the last 20 years working with every modality. Like this afternoon, we have this so-called osteopath, nutritionist, that who almost died from liver damage, and doctor gave him 60 days, but he survived after he switched his diet to almost keto and very low food, so that the liver have time to recover. Went to another friend this morning through another doctor friend, and went 3 hours doing tree therapy. And when he arrived at 2 p.m., we did a biological scan, and he was actually very surprised that his biological battery was now to 30%, despite he went through tree therapy. But for me, it's very normal, because If you use one therapy, you use 10 to 20%. You use three therapy, you take up 60%. And yet the three therapy don't talk to each other. Every therapy is trying to gain attention and power, right? So as a result, your body have to compromise, give everything to try to regulate three different therapy going to the body. But again, most therapy are not trained as engineers, so they will never be able to see from an engineering perspective, right? They only see from a therapist perspective, right? For me, I'm seeing from a therapist perspective and an engineer perspective, right? So maybe my first training as an engineer give me the ability to look at the electrical grid of the body today, right? So it's still the same thing. Instead of managing the grid of a country, I'm managing the grid of our body. Right.
I love
so,
that.
Yeah.
I love that, Michael.
Yeah.
You know, we're having some questions coming in. So if I could
Yes,
just
please. Yes.
call on Kumi, nice to see you. This is a lady who does drumming and health rhythm. So she's creating a lot of vibrations in other people's bodies
Yeah.
in their energetic field. So Kumi, thank you so much. You have a question for Dr. Michael here.
Okay, I saw the question. Is there any difference between living high floor, low floor? You talk about ants, about cockroaches. Okay, we start with the high floor, low floor first. As long as you're on the surface of Mother Earth within the ionosphere, you are not spared because the whole tension happens between the Earth surface and the ionosphere. So whether you're in Khalifa, or whether you are in your bungalow, or whether you are in Bhutan, or whether you are in Lhasa, as long as there is modernization and as long as the city is very prosperous, you would have massive infrastructure in order to sustain a progressive economy. The more massive the infrastructure, the more disturbance you will face, right? Especially if you're staying within 1 kilometer from MRT, right? Or you're staying in high rise. So for those who are staying in high rise, especially with private underground car park, just go down to the basement, look up that particular location where your bedroom may be. And on top of the car park ceiling, you may see sewer line, cable line, fibrous optic line, and all this itself is a moving field. So when the Earth electromagnetic field hit any of man-made technology, this field is going to change. And every floor that is below you have also the lighting wire, you have your Wi-Fi. Yeah. So the higher we live, actually the more challenging it gets. So sometimes that's why we always say live in the grounded land if you can. Yeah. So no one is spared from
but
ground one.
Dr. Michael,
Yeah.
the higher it is, the more expensive the building, the house.
Yeah, that's why very interesting. We have observed this observation is that when you look at feng shui, you want to buy land, home, shop that is very prosperous. But remember, when you get very prosperous, all the tasu, all the people who want help, they run away from the city, they got back to the mountain. Right. So health is technically the opposite of prosperity, although it must come together. You must have health to achieve prosperity. But when you have prosperity, you must manage the health. Right. However, technology have again negate or challenge the utilization of a biological field, resulting in many of us, we achieve maximum, what they call abundance at the expense of our own health eventually.
Sounds good. Actually, I'm going to refer back to Kumi's question, Michael. She wanted to ask about ants. How can we harmonize the home or workplace? We have so many ants. And then somebody also had a similar question.
What about cockroach?
Yeah, that's what Larry asked as well, right?
Yeah.
And then if you could, yeah, go ahead and answer that. And then we have another question from Stella, who's asking if geopathic stress is actually scientifically proven to work. And I think you have already answered that question, but you may want to elaborate on that. But first, let's go to Kumi's question about ants. Harmonizing the home or workplace so we don't have ants, but we love ants as well.
This is a challenging question because there's no one foolproof method. Ant can come not due to vibration. It can come because they smell food and they need food, right? Ant can come because the ant trap is thriving in that particular space or the land that you are staying, right? And in the early century, right, 2000 years ago, the Bavarian, the German, when they conquered a city, before they ship in, they have to make sure that the land vibration is compatible to human, is they put ant. So when the ants start to colonize and build ant mold, the Bavarian will shift to another land to build their city. They will not fight or kill the ants because the land vibration is only suitable for the ant, right? But today we already lost focus because every inch of the land is so expensive, you know, especially in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in major city of the world, right? And what is very interesting is that just like certain animal, like ant and dog, they are very different. They are both animal. They're all very cute, right? But yet they are very different in their vibration. Yeah, right. So in order to address this challenge of ant, it have to be case to case. We can't say generic, right? Even though we may create a wave modulation technology, example, a home may take 1 month, 2 months, and 2 weeks, the one we did in Singapore. Another home may take 3 days, right? We have done one in Guangzhou that took almost 3 months before, and before the ant migrated, a lot of dead ant also surfaced out because as the ant is like fighting a war, you drag all your wounded soldier along the way, you know, you let go the wounded soldier. So you can see the whole house was like a war-torn area. But if I can, I will look for the photo and then send to Baron, then we can share again, right? So in the law of biofield, there's no such thing as an absolute field, right? Because every moment, imagine at this moment, every minute for the last half an hour, we got one person entering, and every person enter the field change, right? Until no one enter. But as no one enter, some may be departing, so the field is still changing. Now imagine if no one is departing and no one is entering, every minute there will be a new question. Every question change the whole vibration again. So everything is about dynamic, and in the dynamic, the challenge is that we are trained in absolute theory. And in absolute theory, we want everything to be within the framework. We want everything to be within 30 days. But what if it's 31 days and 30 days you just give up? And this is what happened to most healing. A lot of people, tomorrow they're going to heal, but yesterday they give up, unfortunately. And then they start searching another healer again.
Amazing. Okay, so could we get the next question as well as from Chi Wei Song? She says, Dr. Tan, could you actually talk about 5G and its effect on our health and bodily functions? And is there, how bad is it in, you know, into day-to-day life, and how in the science of geopathic stress, and how could we do something about it, you know?
Okay, being an engineer, I would say that technically no wave will kill us unless it's gamma, is extremely high ionizing wave. Whereas in the world of geomagnetic and in the world of wireless technology, including 5G, they are not in the ionizing range. They are in the non-ionizing range, right? So while we are all worried because we are entering 5G and maybe 6G, and in the future we don't know what other wave that you know, we'll be introducing, then we should now be looking at a different angle, right? Just like in view of the challenge we faced during this COVID period, you just imagine the COVID is a 5G, right? So what are we doing? Are we going to kill the COVID? You can't. So you can't kill the 5G. So what we are doing is to introduce vaccination to protect our body against a foreign component known as COVID. So likewise, you can also introduce modulation field within your working space, within yourself, so that your body can react better without using your own biological capacity to regulate an external field, which after 5G, you'll come 6G, after 6G, you'll come 7G, after 7G, you'll come XYZ, yeah, another new technology altogether. But the body is developed fully capable of self-regulating, especially when we are able to do a wave modulation. For those who are into especially, let's say, sound signaling in media, you know, sound engineer, they know what is a signal to noise ratio. Just like earlier, Teresa was saying that when Veron was wearing a mic, there was some disturbance. So that is actually part of wave modulation technology, because you're using your ear to pick up, then she had probably either switch off the fans so that you reduce one wave interaction. right? So in order to withstand beyond 5G, we should never be fighting technology advancement because we have to live with it. We have to use it. If not, we can't even do the Zoom at this speed, this clarity, right? So the other way is now to switch into defense. In defense, how do we create a signal to noise ratio modulation, which all hi-fi engineers, sound engineers know how to do it, but we do not apply the same technology for human, right? So in what I have worked in the 20 years, we have finally achieved that tuning device, which I can use it for sound, I can use it for human, I can use it for water, I can use it for any technology, including food that we are eating. So recently, for the last 1 year, we have been experimenting with coffee.
Wow.
Yes. So
The thing
if
is
you come to Adelphi, you get to drink the miracle coffee of life, which is therapeutic coffee that make you sleep better. All right.
Oh, wow.
So Michael,
Yes.
there is a question from Stella. She asks, is geopathic stress scientifically proven?
Oh, okay. Geopathic stress is beyond science. I wouldn't use the word beyond science. It's more than scientifically proven. If you look at Pune University, you look at Austria University, you look at the Ministry of Economic Austria, you look at the 1985 German president, the wife, everyone is working on how to regulate this field, including the more recent research by the University of Malaysia. Yeah, everybody is researching on this, but it's very selected, very specialized field. That's why we hardly heard of it. And you require multiple discipline, means you need to know electronic, you need to know electrical, you need to know geologies, you need to know a little bit of Vastu Feng Shui, you need to know a bit about astrology, you need to know a little bit of metaphysical in terms of numerology, in terms of 八字, in terms of 五行. So this is a science that encompasses so many other diverse fields coming together to work on what Earth give birth to us, which is the life force frequency. And in the last Nobel Prize, Luc Montagnier, who won the HIV discovery for Nobel Prize, is the best person. If you go and Google him, I will send the link to Veron. He will explain everything about how 7.83 affect the birth of DNA. So it's more than science.
Yes. So it's a lot of research go into this geopathic stress. That's why Dr. Michael Tan has a PhD in geopathic stress. He go into deep research. That's why he fly all over the world, even to Russia, to do a lot of research on those monuments there as well. So this is the lacquer antenna that we can use to audit your house. So if you are able to send your floor plan to us, you have to include on your floor plan your name, your address. It becomes the IP for your floor plan. And then you also draw the bed. Where are you sleeping in the bedroom? And where's your head? Where's your leg? So you just draw the bed inside the bedroom. Then we'll be able to measure for you using this lacquer antenna. Okay, there is another question from Larry Pang. What is the difference between alkaline water and reverse osmosis water?
Okay, very simple. Reverse osmosis water are usually meant for big water plant like Singapore Utility Board, or desalination country like Singapore, where we don't have enough water, we have to take from salt water. So the reverse osmosis membrane basically strip off every impurity from the water, resulting in purified water with nothing left. Means there's no mineral, no life, nothing, but it's pure, just pure water. So in simple terms, it is battery water or distilled water. So it's the purest water you can get. Then of course, country like Singapore, we will then add in some mineral, add in some chemical to prevent bacteria breeding and others. Right. So stage one, you have to strip off all the impurity, heavy metal contamination. Then after that, you condition the water. Now, alkaline water is again a very generic term between acidic and alkalinity. In Singapore, all our drinking water are already slightly line. However, a purified water like reverse osmosis water that is receive no further treatment are usually pH 6, means slightly more acidic, right? So you go out to the shopping center and you buy a bottle of purified water and you put alkaline dipstick, you'll find it is probably about 6 to 6.5. Whereas if you buy good purified municipal or city water like Singapore, Japan, maybe even Korea, and maybe even Hong Kong, you'll find it probably about 7.2 to 7.5. Yeah, so the difference between alkaline and reverse osmosis, alkaline water means it have a slightly more alkaline pH, right? Whereas reverse osmosis refer to the term where the water is fully purified with nothing. Yeah, and reverse osmosis water usually are slightly less alkaline. Yeah, it could be probably between pH 6 and 7.
I'm interested in asking you, Michael, is
yes,
maybe is this on behalf of the
please.
audience too, is I think it's a very important question, is that you've been emphasizing about water a lot. Why is that?
Number one, water react to every fuel instantaneously. In my research, we have tested tap water, and the average people will lose about 10 to 15% of the bowel capacity to regulate the biofuel of the 12th meridian when they drink, let's say, city water. Then when they drink, let's say, slightly pure water with a bit of mineral alkalinity, the body will react far more efficiently. But again, we are always looking purely or mainly from chemistry, right? However, for those who have time or who are familiar, please go to the website and take a look at some of the video created by Emoto. And there's one lecture by Emoto and many of the world top scientists that is about 1 hour, 30 minutes. I will pass to Veron. So for those who need it, can check with her for the link. And it will explain everything that the question Teresa have asked us. However, to me, very important is that since we are almost 70 and beyond % water, means our body is subtly reacting to the fuel without our consciousness at all. And you have got nothing, you cannot control it. Remember, you can't control it, just like water. I hate you, the water structures tweak immediately. I love you, the water structure realign into the six-sided crystal. It's so fast, right? So without knowing how fast this yes, no tweaking, and this yes, no is a thermodynamic coupling that uses back again your battery, your biological chi, right? So reducing this switching yes, no, by reducing this interference, you restore back your power instead of draining the power. That's why I place a lot of emphasis, working on structuring the water.
But Michael, I want to ask an additional question because I think this is important. I mean, I totally understand what you're saying. Knowledge-wise, it's all wonderful. Science-wise, it's all wonderful. But practicality-wise, all of us are so busy running around. Larry asked about alkaline water, and you're talking about, energizing it, making it lively. Like, not every one of us have access to these resources. So how can you help us?
Okay. This is very easy. I mean, for those today, I think, I will say I will strongly believe that the setup of a support and sustainable community have to first start. Now, in this community is for us to come together to, I call it the 3E, to experience what we are all facing, like the challenges you have just put forth. And just because I started a bit earlier, so I got a little bit more experience. And from the experience, it allowed me to explore new possibility. And with new possibility, it allowed me to evolve continuously. And all this can be further enhanced when you have a community to support. Now, to give you an example, in the past, maybe even Teresa, you may have a water filter in Hong Kong. Veron definitely would have one, right? And let's say you buy a commercial Kangen, it costs you about $2,000 to $5,000, simply because we are all buying as one user. Now imagine now we have a community coming together, just like the 500 home that engaged me to be their lead consultant. I'm purchasing 500 filters at one go. So my cost from single unit cost, commercial, retail, now I'm buying wholesale and passing the costing and saving to everybody, right? But then again, because the world are not trained for community living, we have really lost the ability to live and function as a company so that we can share the overhead together. So in order to make health and wellness very affordable, the first thing is to create a community coming together so that we share information, we experience information, and we explore the information to allow evolution and including allow me to develop new possibility and share back with the community. So with the community is that if I were to produce everything for $1, I can just sell it for, let's say, $3, so that the organizer, the people who's going to support the logistic, the installation would have to survive with $1, and then the buyer who buy it at $3 can save $1. So eventually it's basically 1, 2, 3 equation, 33.3 times 3 equal to 100, which also stands for 富禄寿 in the Chinese, astrological or mystical 富禄寿. So whereas in Christian is the Holy Trinity. Yeah. So once we can split everything into a fraction of 3, we make everything very affordable and very sustainable.
So it's about going back to kampong spirit, right?
Yeah, kampong spirit.
Everybody help each other.
Yes.
Okay, there's a question here. Is this harmonization a subset of feng shui?
Okay. I would say that there's no such thing as a subset of feng shui because feng shui is feng shui science. Feng shui deal with your home space and the bigger environment. And you look at the flow of the qi according to big data that have been collected based on Chinese Tang Cao and or Zhou Cao, right? But again, if you were to look at classical feng shui of the Zhou Cao and the Tang Cao, or even down to maybe early Qing, remember until 1843, all data was collected with no electrical engineering because electricity was not discovered. Right. So today, feng shui have its own unique strength, which look at the Qinglong Bai Fu La, the Jiu Gong Ke, the 9 square, what about the tiger and the dragon, right? Then you look at every year the astrological change, the Jupiter, the Mercury. But then I'm only looking at the birth of life, which have got nothing to do with feng shui, please. Right? We are looking at the geo-electromagnetic field that interact with the biological field. Right, just like a cell phone, if you have got no electricity, you can never charge a cell phone and nothing is going to happen, even if you have the best software. So just imagine feng shui as your software, whereas the geomagnetic field as your charger that give birth to the battery that enable the software to work. So they are actually not a subset, they're actually different set, but working as a whole. Right, and then without the hardware, again, the CPU with the best OS, the best apps, it can never compute anything because you need the hardware to allow computation to take place, right? So each of them are independent and yet they are totally interdependent.
Yes.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, we have quite a lot of clients who already harmonized their house. And Michael, do you want to share with us 1 or 2 case studies of before and after harmonizing?
Oh, of course, the best one is the Cluny Park. Our dear friend, she bought a very class A, probably about 10,000 square foot land and built her own bungalow with swimming pool. And of course, in the financial field, and the lady of the house is also went around the world to study all kinds of metaphysics courses. And during the construction, they have applied feng shui. But along the journey of 8 years, she encounters small little challenges, not big, small little thing like a minor accident, knock here, knock there, then regular small thing like flu, discomfort, and it just keep happening. Then after getting to know Veron, and then
No, she keep falling down also.
Yeah, she got falling down.
Yeah,
small accident.
She went to see TCM. She went to see Ayurveda. She went to take vegan diet. because she knew that her body was not perfect. Her
Yeah.
body was always very tired. Her body was always like sick yet not sick, you know. And
It's
she
just
go
neither
to
here
the
nor there.
Western, she go to Western doctors, most of her clinical report were normal. But when she feel it, she know that sleep, she can't sleep well. Wake up, she's always tired. And she's always having aching pain everywhere. And her house is just opposite Botanic Garden.
Yeah,
she
it's supposed to be a lovely place.
She bring her dog for a walk every day,
Yeah,
and yet
yeah.
she feel tired. So
Yeah.
she just don't know what happened. She
Yeah.
went in circle until
Yeah.
she came to our place. Then she got her house harmonized.
But
Then what
even
happened?
after we installed the tuning fork, after the whole vibration is stabilized, it took almost another 2 months before the ant decided to migrate permanently, and there's no more ants. Her last message to me 2 months and 2 weeks after the harmonizing is that, Michael, even I put food in my kitchen, no more ants come anymore. So this is one that is not related directly, but of course, health will take time to improve, but very obvious.
She sleep very well now. She sleep very well now.
That's good.
And she's very energetic now. And in fact, she's very active in our group chat. She will share about her progress as well.
Nice.
That's why she's very, very grateful.
Yes.
Okay. So another case study? You have another case study?
We have a lot. Sometimes at the loss of which case. Okay, another case study. We'll look back much earlier when I first started researching. Is we have this family. The son is a little bit of ADD, right? And then husband is almost a perfectionist. So practically every other day, the wife and husband will have small little differences, and they will not be happy. And then on top of that, being a young mother with a 6-7 years old kid that requires a lot of attention is causing tremendous drain to the verge of almost divorce, you know, sometimes, right? Because a woman, they have to take care of home, take care of kid, take care of husband, and then faced with all the perfectionists, so-called men perfectionists, is not easy, right? Then, of course, after we installed the harmonizer about 5 years ago, first thing is now the son is no more that active, much more accommodative and easier to get the boy to sleep. But the most important is within about 2 months, her husband start to be more accommodative, support what she's doing, become more loving. And that is something that to me in my 7 years is what I keep me going despite all the challenge, because this is what money can never achieve at all, right? Yeah, harmonizing of the whole family.
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting more questions here in my WhatsApp here, Dr. Michael Tan. So stand by. Here you go. One from Chi Wei Song. She has 2 questions. I think we could combine them. She's asking, remember I told you about your crystal in the background? So that's getting attention.
She's asking that.
Yeah, she wants to know what it means. And then her second question is whether you could do distant sessions or it has to be in person. So I think that's really good. Chi Wei, because you've been so proactive with engaging with us, you're going to get a free free session, free audit with Dr. Tan. So we'll send that to you later on. Okay. So go ahead, Michael, if you could answer her question.
Okay. The crystal you see behind me, it represents my 20 years research. When I first saw Dr. Masaru Emoto book, immediately I bought it, because even at a very young age, I was searching. I read as like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 books on everything that can lead me to some form of healing, some form of mental wellness, so that I'm less interactive with what I don't like, what I like, right? So when I first saw Dr. Emoto work, I was so intrigued. Water can have such beautiful crystal. And when you say, I love you, it literally went from a disruptive geometry to a very harmonious 6-sided geometry. So little did I dream that 20 years into the future, which was in 2020, I went to Emoto Lab, and eventually we become friends, and I got Hiro Emoto. Unfortunately, Masaru Emoto passed away from his engagement in Fukushima. He spent about 6 months with Dr. Vincent, bringing good water to save people, but their body could not take it because they are they are all aged already. They are all in the 60s, right? Yeah. Dr. Vincent managed to save himself, but when he came back to Singapore, when I first saw him, his screen energy was down to 6%. So even in Singapore, climate of 34 degrees, he had to wear a sweater because, you know, with screen 6%, there's no vitality in him. But today, if you see Dr. Vincent, he's back to his good old day, right? Big, almost big muscle, and now he's up, you know, running his new business. But when we met Hiro Imoto, then my biggest dream was to see what can we see from the tuning fork. And you know, in tuning fork is dynamic. So even if you were to put an oscilloscope, the waves are continuously changing. But then water can receive the resonance and crystallize it. And then after you freeze it, you freeze the vibration in time, right? So in March, when the first crystal was sent to me, I was in ecstasy because I said, finally, the tuning fork that I've developed over the last 7 years have finally saw a visual formation, right? And then, of course, I spent another 11 to 12 months to continuously check the water based in Tokyo, but with the tuning fork embedded in place in the lab, and see how each month the water changed. So eventually we achieved about 13 to 15 crystals with all 6-sided. However, the internal formation keep changing. Let me see if I can show everybody. Let me see. Oops, cannot.
Yeah. Unless you off your background.
You gotta leave the crystal for a little bit.
Yeah.
No, he's going to show more crystal.
Yes. I mean, the one in the background, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so you can see that this is another 6-sided. But interestingly, this was the last crystal that arrived in 2020 November. And right inside here, you actually see a silhouette of Mother Mary. For those who can visualize, you know, the shape of Mother Mary.
Yep.
So after 11 months of testing, and we finally autographed the book, the final chapter, together, myself and Hiro Imoto. The book is sold at 68 over the internet, including, I think, delivery, right? So for those who are interested as part of your collection, you can always contact Veron. We can take like 10%, 15%, but the money, remember, is not a profitable company. The money all go towards research so that we allow us to understand continuously how to interact with the field. Because every minute there is COVID-1, COVID-2, COVID-3. This field is continuously evolving in its own natural way. And if we stop researching, we do not know how to create that natural protective field. Yeah.
Okay, there's a question from Larry. Is feng shui scientific or is it based on superstition?
Okay. Feng shui can be very scientific. However, it can also be slowly tuned towards partially superstitious. Yeah. Now, everything, there's both sides of it. Yeah. So it depends on how deep you want to go into each particular study.
I think it's also depending on which master you engage, because some people, they are there to sell you the lion, the whatever to harmonize, and all these are ways that they commercialize it. So consumer make choices.
I would always work towards experience everything. Do not say that this is better or that, because until you experience, we cannot come to conclusion. It's always someone told me. Right? Yeah. But I would prefer that if I were to spend $1,000 and it doesn't work, I know, okay, I have tested it, it didn't work, but does not mean that the science is not there. Just that the particular component that I've engaged, I may not have enough understanding, plus the person that is interacting or selling me may not be the best person that is able to explain the detail for me to engage. Just like for those who are working into crystal, there are 1,001 crystal. Judy Hall, 4,800 crystal. Every crystal have its own vibration. Every crystal is going to work. But the question is, which one is going to work for Teresa? Which one is going to work for Baron? Which one is going to work for Michael? We really don't know. So we based on the standard framework and say, okay, you know, this crystal, and if you look at the science behind every crystal, all of them have antifungal, antiviral, antibacterial. That's the basic. Everyone have the same thing, right? Then the rest is, you know, this crystal look nicer. This crystal have this vibration, have that vibration. Well, every crystal have its own vibration. But the question is, no two of us are born with the same vibration, and every minute, every second, every day, our vibration is continuously evolving to interact with the main field, right? So where do we go from there, right? So in my course of 20 years, I've observed that the moment I can regulate our own biofield, we can withstand almost everything in the physical world, as long as he permit us to travel another day to experience, to explore, and to evolve. So it's like driving a car or taking a plane from Singapore to Hong Kong. The last thing is run out of petrol. That's all we need.
Okay.
I have a question, my partner there. Michael, we've been talking about harmony like this entire talk. Can you, in a few adjectives, describe to us what does a harmonized home feels like, and what does a harmonized Teresa feels like? Are there any adjectives, and what kind of, signs and symbols should we look for so that, the masses, the common people that are not thinking like you as an engineer could understand this?
I use my own home. I can't say for others because it's not fair.
Okay.
My wife worked with an American corporate company, and it's very stressed, right? Every night, those days I go back, she never smiled at me. That's why I didn't do this Zoom at home. I'm doing it in the office. Right. But since 7 years ago, I start researching on harmony. My biggest observation is that now every morning I go to work, she will send me off, she will kiss me. Every night I go back, she'll say, darling, how is your day? And she will smile at me. Now, before harmonization, this doesn't occur. Every night go back, she will put on a challenging face for me. And I realize it's not something that she can control, she cannot control. It's the field interacting, is causing a lot of noise. Right. On top of that, your work stress, your family stress, your financial stress. But the bigger challenge is all the noise that's hitting us that we have got no control. You just imagine meditating for 1 hour is to reduce the external field. The moment you stop meditating, all the external field interact instantaneously. And what are you going to do about it? We can't, because simply you do not know what is hitting you.
So the environment.
So the biggest observation in 7 years work, almost 60% of family saw mental clarity. They are now focusing on what they really need and what they want. In the past, they are trying and searching. Then they are more forgiving. They are more tolerant, and they are less tired out. And they sleep better. Then, of course, less ache and pain. These are the most common thing that we see. Then, of course, a certain group of people who are already in business will see the business suddenly start to shift to a higher gear, right? Does not mean there's no challenge. Even in a harmonized space, in a harmonized relationship, we still have to accept that there will still be challenge. It's not like what people think when you harmonize, all challenge disappears. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. There's no such thing as zero problem on planet Earth.
I think we should do one more question, and then we could do the lucky draw, and then we can wrap up unless somebody else in the audience has a question. My question to you was, when we had a little chat, Michael, so I'll use myself as a case so that maybe people could relate a bit more.
Yes.
And I was telling you about me still healing my injuries, and then you asked me what happened. And, it took you 2 questions, and then you started prescribing something to me, which was, I'm grateful for. And you said, what happened to you, Teresa? And all I told you was I had a misstep, and then you already immediately knew what was happening. So exactly what was happening to me, that why did I have such an accident, and why is it taking so long to completely heal?
Okay, you see, most of us are traveling on planet Earth based on a set of pre-programmed known as tradition, culture, education, and environmental. Means that we are basically running on GPS today, right? However, the GPS, if it's not upgraded, especially on that day, somehow your GPS either have a glitch or not upgraded, and you walk into the wrong place, right? And this is very common because we have seen, when I was in Xi'an, it was so interesting. I was talking to a group of friends after the workshop. Then there is this huge person, like 3 times my size, walking straight into me. Yeah, and about 3 feet before he hit me, he actually fell off the road. Oh my God. And he's so big size, he can't get up. We have to pull him up. So this is a very interesting observation, is that because I wear a tuning fork, so the tuning fork is continuously like a firewall. It's like continuously sending a signal and receiving a signal. So when the body sends a wrong signal, the first thing it do is repel. So in your case, you did not have that firewall. So you walk straight into a damage. So for those who practice chakra aura, you'll find that your aura on that particular day could have some broken aura somewhere. So in traditional Zhongyi, they call it evil wind, which is pathogen. Yeah, right. So there's one question that I wanted to take is geopathic stress take care of feng shui problem in any home? Now, always remember, feng shui, the study of feng shui is the wind and the water, the flow of wind and the flow of water that affect usually more towards the prosperity. However, in feng shui, you have the north, south, east, west, the nice sector, the ghost gate, and others. That may also affect health. Now, in our research with our Malaysia partner feng shui people, we have found that whenever we did a geomagnetic grid or audit, and then we mesh it against a feng shui, usually you find it's identical, right? The only difference is in geomagnetic, we can calculate the kind of health risk that you are facing. In feng shui, they'll tell you that sector is not very good for you, right? So the difference is that for us, we concentrate on understanding the relationship between health and magnetic field. Feng shui is more towards the location and the period of time. Yeah, and this period of time keeps changing, right? So to this year, you may be sleeping in the same place, but it's very bad. Next year, it can be very good. But that does not mean the GS is very good. The GS, once it's disrupted, it is permanently disrupted, right? So this is the technical difference between feng shui and geomagnetic stress.
Yes. So if you were to send your floor plan for audit, we can, Dr. Michael will be able to do a virtual audit for you to draw the Hartman line and the Curry line, like the floor plan that Dr. Michael showed. That's one. Number two is he can even calculate the amplitude of your toxicity. If your toxicity is 100 to 500, is a toxic home. 500 and above is a very toxic home. 1,000 and above is a destructive home. So if you are living in a house that is amplitude is very high, then the challenges you face will be the health, the wealth, and also relationship. So for no reason, your family is always not able to get along with each other. Probably you have to check your environment.
So is that the same always goes like, such as Michael with the example with your wife, your relationship was harmonized. So for us single people, can we attract people into our lives as well?
Interesting question.
Yeah, why not? There's so many
so now we are moving.
Matchmaking.
We are living into the law of attraction, the law of manifestation. This is just my personal sharing. It doesn't represent any school. It doesn't represent any doctrine. So do not mistaken what I'm going to share because it's highly controversial.
Oh.
Yeah. In life, we are taught to manifest what we want. In life, we are taught to attract our soulmate. But remember, the Tao only know itself, and no one know the Tao except you and the Creator.
That's right.
We are here to experience the unknown. We are here to explore the unknown so that it allows us to evolve. We are not here to search the known, right? So if you want to attract someone, then you're already caught in the attraction, and you will never find the person you really truly need, because you already have been taught a kind of parameter of the person you want, but that may not be necessarily your destiny for you to experience. So the difference between a controlled journey versus a free flow evolution is the thin line drawn between the liberation of us in this physical life versus chasing a control system known as rationalizing, right? So the difference is drawn very thin between rationalizing and realization.
Yes. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
don't work on manifestation. I don't work on attraction. I work on go out, experience the darkest moment of your life. Go out, experience the most highest ecstasy of your life. Be the most rotten person. Then, you know, in Chinese, 我不下地狱，谁帮我下地狱? So if you don't experience it, how many life would you have to come back to truly complete your own journey? Because we are always living based on someone else telling us what to do. We have never been capable. So to finish off, if you were to look at all the river in the world, no river flows straight.
Right.
But in life, everything we want a straight line. So the moment you draw a straight line, you got three things. You got the control factor, you got the judgment factor, you got the compare factor. So anything between good and bad, all misery start immediately. Right? But nature never fight. Nature always flow accordingly. So there's no such thing as comparing in nature. In nature, when you say compare, it is a law of counterbalancing between the yin and the yang, between the positive and negative, between the day and the night, between success and failure. Success and failure is all a part of the complete knowledge of appreciating the beauty of living on planet Earth.
Yes. Actually, I wasn't asking about the law of attraction or manifestation, because I don't believe in manifestation. To be honest, I believe, what you're saying, the flow of things and the knowing and not seeking outside. And most people, many healers out there would advise you to manifest what you want, manifest what you want.
Agree.
I don't believe in that.
Fully subscribe to you.
Anyway, so I think let's take one more question, right? Christina saying, really appreciate what you're talking about. Heard a lot about this matter. And so if we were too keen on the audit, we approach
just WhatsApp me your floor plan. Just WhatsApp me your floor plan. My email is also there. You can email me as well. And now once, please make sure you draw the bed, the position of your bed in your bedroom, your name and your address, very important, because we need your name and address like the IP of your handphone. All right, it's the IP of your floor plan. Then we are able to audit for you at the person who stays in the home space. Not just your home. If you want to audit your office, also can. Michael actually also audit building. So there are shopping malls in KL also audited by him, and some of the shopping mall. Michael, you want to share?
Okay, we have done quite a fair bit of big size development, mainly in KL and some in Zhengzhou, some in Xi'an. Somehow we end up with Central and Western China because probably they are not as modernized, as commercialized as Eastern China. But mainly my main project are in Malaysia, where I started with a group of property agents. Then from there we went to developer, and then from developer, our latest project coming up is one of the latest hotels. So we are going to build what we call a wellness suite inside the hotel, which when you check in, the place is harmonized, the air is controlled, everything, right? So including some of the big banks in Hong Kong. So probably you'll know which are the bank in Hong Kong, one of the most famous Hong Kong bank. I've been up and they were facing a lot of challenge, but of course they won't tell you. They were asking a lot of people continuously. Eventually they have to do it quietly, right? One of the questions I saw just now, which I would like to pick up is, have I measured a master? Yes, we have measured a lot of master. Very interesting, because one of my study is to understand how master generate chi and how sustainable is each generation. Then I start to observe a common denomination. It's like our body ATP, our biological power. Every time you crunch a 10 kilo weight, after 10 crunch, you got no more power, you have to wait a while. Right. Then when your energy or ATP is restored, you can do another 10 crunch. Then you have to wait a while. So even Qigong master is the same. They can generate Qi for 3 minutes. Then actually the body went into zero. So you have to wait another like 1 minute before it start powering up again. Yeah. So this is what I observed, including some of the big names from India, from Singapore, from China. Yeah, we have measured quite a fair bit.
Very good.
Yeah.
So
in fact, there was one shopping mall in KL. You want to share about it?
Oh, okay.
The business was very bad.
This shopping mall in PJ, more not to be mentioned, you can probably ask around, until one night, a new developer bought over, renovated it very nicely, bring in Zara, Mother Cat, H&M, all the big name. But then Facebook keep criticizing, say this is not a family mall, this is not the mall we want to go, there's nothing exciting. So when we start to audit, before they even engage us, we have a few sessions with the CEO and the marketing, because they were facing challenge after pumping 2 years of marketing dollars, still they cannot change Facebook critique, right? So when we start auditing, we find that the whole thing was sitting on a very high stress field, right? And we calculated the duration of how long they have been facing it, and nothing changed how long it will carry on, right? And true enough, they already faced it for about 3 years. Then eventually, after 6 months of workshop and education, the owner, the developer owner, decided to spend and got it harmonized. Within 6 months, there's no way we can measure, but we can only look is from Facebook. 6 months later, suddenly Facebook, we love this shopping center. You have everything we need. You know, if anyone come, we'll bring you to this shopping center. Yeah. So this is one of the most unique. Then another one was we audited the head office of a developer group. They were running at about 300 stress, which means moderate toxicity. But of course, their business was good. They said, okay, we wait a while. Then in 2020 August, our associate auditor called up. He said, Michael, do you remember ABC? I said, yes. Yesterday, the big boss got a stroke. The small boss got this 5-star fall sick in a single day. I said, oh, okay. They said, now they need to harmonize. I said, you should have done it 3 years and avoided this. But the more recent one I just did is a listed company just shifted to their office. Oh my God, within 2 months, 3 accidents. Yeah. Their senior manager walked into the CEO room and banged straight into the glass and actually almost fainted. Then the CFO went to buy coffee, came back with a broken finger, out of work for 1 month. Then another, I think, senior engineer went to toilet, slipped and broke the hips. And then after we installed the tuning fork, it will take about 3 months. And then, of course, 2 days ago, urgently, another guy got technically a heart attack. Oh my God, the place is really one after another. So within 2 months, 5 major health and accident occurred.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Michael Tan. It was a very, very insightful sharing. Okay, as far as floor plan is concerned, if you are Singaporean and you are staying in HDB, you can just go and buy the floor plan from HDB website. All right, it's only $5. You go and buy the floor plan and then just write your name and your address and draw the bed, and then you can just WhatsApp me. Email to me or WhatsApp to me, and I will be able to forward to Dr. Michael to do the audit for you, at least get to understand the amplitude of your toxicity. All right. So once again, thank you very much, Dr. Michael. It was a very interactive sharing tonight. It was very, very engaging. And yeah, these are the 7 people who win the lucky draw. Kumi, Larry Pang, Stella, Chi Song, and then Ma Nita, Doris Tan, and Christina. Please send me your floor plan, all right? Thank you.
Actually, before we go, if just the winners that we were announced, if you could just type in the chit chat your contact information, your email, and your phone number, our tech support will copy and paste that for us, and that way we can contact you. Now, just some announcement. Sunday, my co-founder Veronica Tan, who's going to be doing a talk on immunity health. That's really important to us. Saturday, right? That's right. Saturday, 7 to 8:30, same time. Now, don't forget, we still have Sunday, a full day of activities and study sessions and talks and all of that. So if you are planning to join us, please, make sure. I know some of you are in Vietnam and Thailand, and we got some people in Hong Kong and Singapore. Make sure you get the times that we are starting 9 a.m. October 17th, so it could be Saturday for some people, in the other parts of the world. Don't forget, we're going to be busy and you're going to be interacting. And again, we have, lucky draw prizes up to $40,000 that we still like to share with you. So engage with us. And also don't forget to download the Bravera app, which is hosting our health and wellness challenge. So for today, if you learn something from Dr. Michael Tan, and that you feel like you could harmonize, there's a way that you could harmonize your life, your body, your mind, your spirit, your home, your office, please feel free to post that in the chat, and we could continue engaging with each other. And thank you so much, for joining us tonight. And we wish you a harmonious life ahead of you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. And this Saturday, you will get to understand how the body functions, how the immune system functions, and how to take control of your own health.
That's
all
right.
Now, good night.
Now, hang on. Do we have everybody's email yet? The 7 winners? Please type in your, Joseph, do we have their contact information yet? The 7 winners, Kumi?
I can't see from my screen. Veron has to check because they
okay, we got Larry. Larry, we know. Stella, Chi Wei. And we got Nara, right? And Doris, is it?
Yes. Please send me your floor plan, and you WhatsApp me or you email me will be easier. All right. Veron@rev22.com or +65 8693 9472. Thank you.
By the way, for those who have sent in their plan, give me about a week. The reason is usually I do not do distant or remote mapping if my energy is low. Right. So please pardon me. Sometimes I take longer because of my daily engagement, and I'm very sensitive when my biological battery is low. I do not do remote healing because I'll kill myself first.
That makes a lot of sense, though. But that's also a good, very important message for all of us, is that when we're low, we need to recharge. And I think even if you didn't understand all the scientific and engineering terms today, I think one important message is when you're tired, that's
please rest. Please rest. Yes.
Rest, recharge. And some of us go for a run, do a marathon. Like if you're low, don't do things like that. Your body's giving you a signal to rest, so that's another way of understanding what Michael said today is, what is your energy level like? What does it mean to be in your power and own that powerhouse? What is that powerhouse mean? And what voltage is that? Just consider all like your light bulb dimming, right? So understand it that way. So appreciate that, Michael. Again, we better say bye. We keep saying bye multiple times. It's so fun in these conversations to carry on, but come back, join us, tell your friends to come, your family, whoever. And people are still registering, and at the moment we have close to 900 people, and there's more coming. And last Sunday because we had 700 people last Sunday, plus 700 plus people. So we're going to look forward to having a bigger crowd coming Sunday. Veron, you were saying?
And this Sunday, during this pandemic, it's so important to help each other, able to have healthy mind, healthy body. Healthy spirit, so that we are able to all fight this COVID together. So it's not about one alone. It is about a community. It's about everybody. Once we are able to empower everybody, that's how we can win the war.
That's
And
right.
it's called the COVID war.
Well, I think beyond COVID, I think, you know, we on a day-to-day basis is, I mean, there's life after COVID. So beyond COVID, we need these resources and, you know, awareness as well. And this is why we put together this Global Mental Wellbeing Summit, you know, 2021 for the world. This is really for the global village. And, you know, we've been having a lot of important conversations over very important topics at this time. And as I said, beyond this time. So it's for the future. All right.
Yes.
So we'll see you and have a wonderful night, all of you. Take good care of yourself.
Thank you
Have
very
a good
much.
night's sleep. Yep.
Yes. Thank you. Good night.
Okay. Thank you,
Bye.
Michael.
Good
Bye-bye,
night.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.